All right, I'm back recording. I think we ran out of battery there for a second. We're talking about, we're still with Rob Thayer here, and we're talking about textures, weren't we, Rob? And tools?
Well, I think we just use the router. I mean, changing in the tools. Everything has gone cordless now, so there's very little dragging of cords, I mean, which really helps.
Yeah.
So, drywall tools are basically hand tools with a few exceptions of the cordless router and the cordless screw gun.
You use circle cutters.
Circle cutters, but still the guys pretty much are using the router for that too.
Yeah.
They might mark it with the circle cutter,
Right.
just to get a good circle for pipes and ducts and stuff.
Mark it, like score it.
Score it, yeah, and then they'll use the router.
Take it out with the router,
Yeah.
which seems to be easy.
The only thing we don't have here is a T-square for cutting the drywall, but
Really? You guys, you don't even have
well, no.
it on the site?
here meaning where I'm standing.
Oh.
So,
Yeah.
but no, I mean, always have a T-square. Helps cutting that square cut. Again, most people can reach 48, 50 inches and still cut with the tape, like we did. But beyond that, you need a T-square. It's like if you cut the middle of a sheet or something. So,
just out of curiosity, drywall. When you figure drywall, is it all bid? Your bid is it all by the square foot?
pretty much everybody does it different though.
Yeah.
Big jobs, square foot. Smaller jobs, you can't do that because obviously, let's just say if you're figuring $2 a square foot, you can't go to a house and patch 1 square foot for $2. You know, the guy you're paying might want a little more than $2. So need your saw, Dale? So then, again, everybody does it different, but generally most commercial drywall contractors or, you know, in business, you're going to figure, you know, houses, whatever, at per square foot.
Yeah.
And then you have multiplying factors, you know, height, conditions,
Right. So
technical things.
all that stuff is going to factor into
Yeah.
your bid, but you're going to have a basic square foot price for 8-foot ceilings and 5/8 rock, I would imagine.
You have a beginning point, yes, in your mind, you know, but every job's different, especially today. Back in the day, everything was boxy. You just had 3 bedrooms and then everything was a box. Very few, you had maybe 2 phone outlets in the house, 1 in the kitchen, 1 in the master bedroom. You know, so now houses are a little more complicated, rake ceilings, round niches, whatever. But
As
basically,
well as you're trimming out, dude. You're doing all
Right.
the trim out there.
right.
You're not just hanging board.
So, but generally, you're correct. There's kind of a base number in your head that you're going to start with. Okay, so the more volume, that number can come down.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, the less volume, it turns more into a manpower issue, which kind of pulls you away from that square footage. So, and you know, and that's the magic sauce is how to bid it. You know,
That's right, boy. Tell me about it, and to stay in business and to make a buck.
right.
But you've got to factor in the square footage, so you got to be versed in takeoff. You got to be able to
Right.
take off. You got to know how tall walls are, as well as the lineal foot of walls and what walls get by wall. You got to figure. Do you even figure openings? You just figure the whole wall.
Generally, no, because most drywall installs, you're going to run 10 to 20% waste.
Right.
So you figure, you know, basically, personally for me, trade secret, you just roll right through your doors and windows because that's usually going to account for your waste.
Yeah.
Okay. And I personally figure in 2-foot increments. Drywall comes in 4 feet. I haven't found the place where you can go buy 1 foot of drywall. 1 foot, you know, it's a 4-foot sheet, 4x8, 4x12. So if you have a a wall that's 9 feet by 9 feet, you really should figure 10 by 10, or maybe because you're going to have that waste anyway calculated
You're
into
still
it.
going to have to buy the drywall.
You got to buy the drywall. You have to cut it. You have to handle it. You have to throw the waste away. You got to tape the joints.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, you should try to figure in 2-foot increments.
And then do you add and you must, for jobs that you're doing the trimming? Because some jobs,
Oh, yeah.
you're just walking away and
The
bridge
corner,
guys-
and Rod's talking about the corner trim. So you have horizontal and vertical corners. which
That
are
you're doing on virtually every job.
pretty much. Some have more, some have less. Again, this is where you have to actually know the job. Horizontal and verticals. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the door trims can get expensive if
Second, horizontals, that's an obvious vertical wall.
Well, it's
horizontals would be like soffits.
yeah, it'd be the horizontal going on the soffit. So, and the trim could be square or round. We call it bullnose. These are square corners. Bullnose comes in 3 different sizes: 1/2 inch, 3/4, and 1.5 inches. So, obviously, the 1.5 inch bullnose costs a bit more than the 3/4 bullnose per lineal foot.
Damn, what was that other question? So this corner, do we have a piece of corner? Right here.
Yeah, there's
So
one.
it's a piece of metal covered with tape, right? Can you show them that?
Yeah, and these come in different styles and shapes. This is called tape on corner bead because it's got the metal covered with paper and it's embedded. It's embedded with the drywall compound.
Right.
As a company, we tend to use this 90% of the time, maybe even more, for 2 reasons. One, it can go on straighter. The alternative is a nail-on version where it doesn't have the taping flange. It's basically just metal, a little bit wider, and it nails on. So that's going to have to nail on tight, and it's just going to follow the wood.
Yeah.
There's not much play you can do with it. It's going to follow the wood. This stuff, at least we can correct some of the discrepancies to a point, because you can kind of pull this and embed it out up to, say, 1/4 inch to 3/8 and make it either plumb or aligning with something or level, whatever you're trying to do. Second to that, wood shrinks, okay, over time. So as that wood shrinks, the drywall is nailed tight to the wood. The drywall wants to follow the wood as it shrinks. Even though this nail-on piece of corner bead is nailed, the metal itself wants to hold its shape. So that's where in an older house you can go in and you can kind of see some cupping on your corners, okay? It's not a flaw that anybody did, it's just a function of age. So the metal nail-on version tends to just stay in place as basically the house is shrinking away from that corner, and that's where you can kind of see some cupping. Plus it'll crack easier over time, and
I'm just so used to seeing the nail-on stuff. It's
Yeah.
nice to see this is so much cleaner.
nail-on is a highly production type model. You can do it individually with custom homes and everything, but we just tend not to because there's less problems. It's a better finish.
Yeah,
and-
because really, ultimately, on these corners, especially these outside corners, that's what you see.
Right.
You see how
Right.
straight or unstraight that corner is.
Right,
It's
right.
The whole thing.
Right. It's a little slower to do this when time is money, but ultimately you get a better job and less callbacks and less problems. Yeah.
Yep.
And it lives longer. It'll just stay right on that drywall and go wherever that drywall goes. So, so back to the doors. Some windows and doors get wood cased, so we don't trim them out. But a house like this, where everything has a return, and the doors, the casing or the door jambs will have a L-metal trim that goes right to it instead of a wood casing.
Do you ever want them kerfed? Do you ever tuck your metal into a kerf in the jam?
Yeah, I'd say most of the wood jambs that we trim to are curved.
Okay.
Not all. Kerfing, generally, there's going to be a smaller reveal. You know, if you have a 3/4 jam, you kerf it in the middle, you get a 3/8 reveal.
Yeah, I was asked if we wanted these kerfed, and I told him no. The stucco guy didn't want the exterior doors curved, so I told him.
To us, it doesn't matter. We can go behind the jam, so you have full jam exposure.
Right, okay.
Okay. The problem, or let's see, it can create problems if it's not curved if you want to go on top of the jam, because the metal comes in a manufactured size. So we can't really do anything that's running because it's going to hit. The kerf saves you sometimes if the walls, like especially in a remodel, if the wall's a little out of plumb, you put a new jam on, the kerf is, or the trim is longer and it goes inside the kerf. Okay. So that, and it locks in. So the advantage of doing a kerf would be that you have a little more play on on the manufactured piece, and it locks in a little better. Other than that, it doesn't matter.
Brothers, if I ask, say, should I have them curved or not?
I'd have them curved.
Okay.
And for the last reason is you don't have to fight the shim that's inside behind it, because now you got the shim in the way trying to shoot in behind the jamb. So.
And then that's true. And then what? Leave a 1/4 inch reveal, then the 1/8 inch curve.
It's whatever you want. Yeah, it's whatever you want.
There's something I was thinking of. I can't remember what is to save my life. What was it? Dang. Any particular challenges that have come up on this job or any other job that you could tell us about?
Nothing nothing that stands out. The only thing really different about this job would be there is this exposed truss ceiling that for us, we have to cut around and finish tight around all the truss work up to the roof sheeting. Other than that, it's a pretty standard house, but this room here is kind of unique for residential. You don't get this look much in a residential.
Now, as I remember drywall hanging, you guys hang the lids first.
Generally, you're supposed to.
Because your wall will support the edges of your lids?
Yes and no. I mean, you just start with the ceilings and work your way down. The gaps around the edges of the ceilings is covered by the wall sheet. So if you do your walls first, now when that ceiling sheet, you got to have a nice tight fit, and you're losing your backing capability because you've already covered up some of it on, think of a 2x4 wall with a 2x6 plate going on top of it for backing on each side of the wall.
Yeah.
Doesn't leave you much on each side. So if you do the ceiling first, you've got enough. But if you did your drywall on the walls first, you're going to take up a lot of that wood. You just start on the ceilings.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do walls, in a rare condition where we would do the wall first and do the ceiling afterwards, but very, very rare.
So how many sheets on this job? Remember? And this is about a 2,000 square foot house.
I'm thinking there was stocked with about, I'm trying to remember, maybe 90 4x12s and 20 something 4x8 green board. Looks like there's some extra green board.
Yeah. Do you
So
stock it, the stuff when you get it overstocked and you have board left over? Do you have a place? Do you have a yard? Do you have someplace this stuff?
yes,
goes?
and there's two ways to look at it. Some people short stock it and then bring the board in later.
Yeah.
I always prefer to overstock it because when the guys are here working, when they run short, sometimes it's a panic scenario to get them more board, say at 2 in the afternoon to finish the day and just be done. It's a lot easier to take it out later at your own convenience than to try to panic to get it to them, And it's always a guess. You try to get it close, but if I was going to err, I always err higher, especially in logistical difficult places, such as anything on State Street, commercial-wise, because after 9:30, trying to move material on State Street downtown is impossible, so we always overstock when we're kind of in that kind of environment. If you're way up in the canyons, this is kind of off the beaten path, so we, purposely load up a little extra just in case, so we don't have to run this far out to bring more board.
Newton's? Is Newton still around?
Newton's went out of business about 6, 7, 8 years ago. So,
Drywall, are they gone? Or?
Well, Oxnard Drywall is gone. They've changed their name 3 times, but personally, my big vendors from Santa Maria, West Side Building Materials.
And do they stock as well?
They do.
All of them?
They do. They do.
Deliver and stock
They do.
the board.
Bedrock locally.
Yeah.
We get a lot of our immediate stuff off the shelf, small thing, anything we need instantly. I do have a drop-down yard. Most drywallers have some kind of drop-down yard, some kind of storage yard, because you do tend to accumulate ladders and scaffold and extra material, and you just need some space. Our toys are big, so we need space for them.
Yeah. So is it covered yard? You have a covered yard?
Yeah.
You're supposed to cover it?
Yeah, I covered it.
Great.
Yeah.
And you have a yard.
But it's California.
There's that. Can't occasionally rains here. But what I've always really liked about drywall work is that you guys get in, get out really fast. I've never had to wait around for drywall. It's like, let's get it done. And then, and you cover up all this stuff that, now you have this nice smooth wall. You don't come here with a whole lot of tools. It seems like, if you choose drywall as the thing that you want to do, you're not buying, you don't have to go out and buy a $1,500 Festo domino tool to make these joints.
Generally not. I would say to tool up, definitely less than $500, but you could probably tool up for a couple $100
Yeah.
as you're beginning.
Right.
And then as you learn, you're going to add to that because it takes years.
Are you looking for entry level people that are interested?
We're always looking. We're always looking. The industry's been a little upside down lately. We've lost a lot of skilled labor through aging out, moving on.
Death?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's the natural attrition. And for the last couple of decades, there really wasn't